If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from okay to very high. Know your sleep score with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Ferrero. Soccer's biggest stage is approaching, and Ferrero is making it easy to go all in. Pick any 2 Ferrero brands from Kinder Bueno to Ferrero Rocher, and you could win the $1 million grand prize, plus an exciting range of daily and weekly prizes. Don't miss your shot. Official rules apply. Learn more at goallinandwin.com.
Hello there, Stanley Carr here. You know, I love collecting music and sports memorabilia. Want to know where you can find some? I'll tell you. Go to oldglory.com. This website features one-of-a-kind apparel from your favorite sports teams and musical artists. And I can help you get 15% off of all items. Use the code WWH135. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show. And with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He is a referee with the NWA as well as the independent scene. Pleased to welcome Jarrod Fritz. Welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be on the show with you today.
My pleasure. So talk to me about your childhood. Where did you grow up?
So I was originally born in West Palm Beach, Florida, and my mom quickly remarried when I was about 5 years old, and we moved up to the Charleston, South Carolina area. And that's where I've been pretty much for the majority of my life, with the exception of a little tour in Japan for 3 years.
So the Carolinas are a huge wrestling territory over the years, especially like the 70s and 80s. Huge wrestling town, very passionate fans, memorable matches. Talk to me about your first experience watching professional wrestling.
Honestly, it's really funny. I love telling this story. My mom didn't want me to watch wrestling when I was a kid because, of course, I think like a lot of moms, she thought that I was going to try it myself and hurt myself. So oftentimes I would sneak away in my room, shut the door, and find whatever channel WWE was on or WCW was on and just try to peek here and there. But I remember visiting my uncle one time, and he lived in a very small trailer that had one of those really, really, really tiny TVs, like the 12-inch ones. And we used to watch the old NWA matches in black and white, back super, super old school.
That's crazy. It's like that vintage, that old school feel. You watch it, it's like, oh my gosh. You go back like all these years later, and it's like, wow. And you were that young. Like, I can't believe I'm watching this.
Absolutely.
Do you remember your first match that you ever saw?
So I can't remember like the original first one with my uncle or anything. I'm pretty certain it was Dusty Rhodes because he was a huge Dusty Rhodes fan. But I do remember the first match that I saw that when I watched it on TV, I was like, yeah, that's cool. And it was actually the debut match of Ultimate Warrior in WWE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like he was like one of the top players for so long. In that like rock and wrestling era, like that, like kind of, or the golden era, like towards the end, because Hogan, I believe, took some time away to do movies. You had Macho Man was still a part of the company, Jake the Snake Roberts. Ted DiBiase. And I could be here all day just talking about these legends. And Warrior just had this like incredible gimmick, like with the costumes, and it's like, wow, it's like he was somebody, like when you saw him, man, it just inspired you to want to pursue the business. If you were really serious and wanting to be a wrestler or have something to do with the wrestling business, he was somebody that you like was a huge fan favorite.
He was the real life superhero. He had the makeup, he had the tassels, he had the look, he had the physique that, you know, growing up reading comic books, like that's everything that you saw on pages. Now you're seeing it sort of in real life, and it brought that attention. And I think for me, the characters were what really brought me in originally. And then as I became more savvy about what professional wrestling is, then the evolution of who my favorite wrestlers were and everything kind of changed over the years.
Yeah, I think the characters, I feel like, are very important because it's good guys, bad guys. You want to root for the hero, boo the villain. You have this classic tale of good versus evil. You really want to find, guys you can identify with, get behind, and just, really get behind them,
Yeah, it's just the simple psychology of what storytelling is.
Exactly. You can't go wrong with that good versus evil kind of mentality when it comes to like storytelling, the aspects of storytelling. So
It's worked for centuries.
It definitely has. So was Ultimate Warrior your favorite growing up?
For a very short period of time, in the aspect of he was the one, of course, that drew me in. And then when Papa Shango came in, as his big adversary, like I really, really, really got into the character of Papa Shango. And then that was just fleeting. Of course, they took Charles Wright and they evolved him into Kama Mustafa and so on and so forth. But like I said, as I developed and I got more savvy in what wrestling was, you have people like Eddie Guerrero, probably one of the best performers of all time when it comes to professional wrestling, and the fact that he could be the greatest babyface and the worst heel and do it all with style and class and the psychology just to keep you captivated hours on end.
He could play both sides equally. And I think going back to like his feud with Rey Mysterio, for example, just incredible matches those two had. And especially that summer when they were feuding, just a few months shortly before he passed away, just breathtaking matches.
It really was. And to see, like, if anybody who's listening watches Lucha Libre, they can definitely tell that there's a very, very substantial difference between what we usually see in regular professional wrestling in the United States versus the art that is Lucha Libre. And I think Eddie and Ray were able to bring those two together and really meld them well so that it adapted so that everybody across all different platforms could really, really, really sink their teeth into it.
And I like how you put it. It's an art form, because here are two people, two guys, two women, and you just see how they're moving, right? The maneuvers, and it's like, oh, you're just amazed by these these moves that they're doing, and it's like, wow, I can't believe this person actually did this.
Yeah, and it's interesting in this day and age. You see so many people with these innovative, crazy moves that how can somebody put their body through that? And I think there needs to be a lot of credit to that, because the athleticism and the risk all involved with that means something. But adding even into another layer of that, of why would you do said move to further the story that you're trying to tell, don't waste all that risk. Don't waste all that artistic ability in just doing something with no meaning to it. I tell everybody the story of, I don't know if you remember, but the first time that Undertaker ever put the Hell's Gate submission lock on somebody. And I remember watching it going, what is happening right now? Because it was so simple, but he never did it before. And when he finally did it, now it's like, oh, so there's a new danger that he has. And again, he would use it still selectively, only when needed. and it still had that longevity versus doing it over and over and over again and then losing the meat of what it is.
It's always good every once in a while for a performer to switch up some of their moves in the ring, because you see it so often, like with the choke slams, the tombstones, the stunners even. You always want to have something different to add to your arsenal. I can think of Chris Jericho, for example, with the code breaker. That was different. Or the Big Show with his knockout punch.
Yep.
Because for so long you're used to these guys having just signature moves that they do, but eventually over time it grows a little stale. You want to change it up.
And if you're good at what you do, though, like there are people like Bret Hart and John Cena who towards the end of their tenure, you knew that 5 set of moves that they were going to do, and it just built up that story to where it was like, yeah, I got to see it again. Or even still to this day, if you see Jake the Snake Roberts whip his finger around, you know something's about to happen, and you just get that good feeling because of the art that they added to those moves and that move set.
Exactly. And the Hell's Gate move, it's unique how they set that thing up, because it's a variation of the triangle choke.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So they were able to take something that at that point in time and still to this day is real with mixed martial arts. It's what you're seeing. And now we can evolve it into what professional wrestling is, sports entertainment.
I'm just amazed at the crossover with pro wrestling and MMA, because you had Brock Lesnar, Ken Shamrock, Dan Severn, Ronda Rousey, all these people that are able to have success in both avenues, both mediums, and how they're kind of able to cross over, use what they've learned from their time in MMA and bring it to pro wrestling. And it's kind of created, it's brought in a new audience.
It has. And I mean, that's what I think professional wrestling is all about, is how do we get into different audiences? How do we get people who may not be interested in what we have to offer and give them a little taste of saying, oh, okay, come on in, and now we have a new audience to work with.
What age were you when you decided, I want to be in the wrestling business?
32.
Okay.
Yeah, I was really old. I mean, I was always a fan of it, and I remember watching the recruitment film for the first Tough Enough ever. And it was like, come to New York, try out. And I was like, man, I graduated high school at 124 pounds. I was 5'7". There's no way in hell I'll ever be a wrestler, So I just kind of, rested on that idea of always just kind of being a dream. And then through a series of meetings with certain people pointing me in the right direction, it put me in a platform where I had the opportunity to train to be not necessarily a wrestler, but trained to be in the ring, because in the state of South Carolina, if you were to be within 6 feet of the ring, you have to be licensed and you have to be trained. So I was given the opportunity to train with Bob Keller and John Schuyler, realistically, honestly, just for a spot that I was supposed to do. And then Bob looked at me and he goes, hey, have you ever thought about refereeing? And I said, not really, but I mean, I'll give it a shot if it gets me into professional wrestling. And then that, again, evolved into me becoming a wrestler for a short period of time. And after I injured myself, I said, you know what, we're gonna step back, and I want to put all my chips in on refereeing, because I enjoy refereeing more than I do wrestling.
Yeah, less wear and tear on your body. I mean,
absolutely
more work on the mind, though, because you're
Correct.
trying to watch two people in the ring, trying to watch what they're doing. You'll really keep your eyes on the ball, so to speak, and pay attention, because it's really it's like hand-eye coordination, so to speak, because you have the pacing, the timing. You really have to watch out, because there could be near falls. There could be people on the outside. They could be feuding. They could be going at it. So you really have to watch what they're doing and follow along.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize this when it comes to the aspect of what we've talked about previous with storytelling, is every story has a good guy, every story has a bad guy. And almost every story that you read on the pages of a book or on your Kindle or whatever it might be has a narrator. And that's what the referee is the referee is the narrator to guide people hey, you should pay attention to this. Hey, maybe don't pay attention to this. Or, hey, what do I need to know about this situation that's going on right now? And when you have a good referee in there that can have emotion that matches what's going on with the match and doesn't underreact or overreact in certain situations that takes eyes off of the wrestlers, then it really helps wrap all of that together.
When you're learning how to referee for the first time, what are some things that your mentors are telling you, pieces of advice that you took away from that experience that you're still using today?
Realistically, is the number one thing that was the most difficult, if I'm being honest, was stop watching the match as a fan. Because we're so conditioned, like if I'm a fan and I haven't done wrestling before, I'm watching it to be entertained. And when I'm in the ring, now I'm still watching because I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Oh, wait, I actually have to react to this. I have to, give warnings, and I have to count pinfalls, and I have to make sure everything's going right. So realistically, it was changing that mindset of watching it for the sport aspect of rather than for the entertainment aspect of it. And positioning to make sure that you're not in the way of what's going on, that you're not in the way of the camera shots, and you're also being audible enough to help tell that story that the wrestlers are telling.
What would you say has been some of the most chaotic parts about being a referee? Because lots of things can go right, some things can go wrong.
Man, there's so many. Being in a very small ring with multiple people all at one time, trying to find a way to get out of the chaos that's happening and also not be in the camera shots. That's number one. And then more or less on the indies, there's sometimes we get in predicaments where people are late or for whatever reason we can't get together and try to create the story of what we're trying to do. So it gets kind of thrown together last minute, and that's kind of challenging to deal with sometimes. Frustrating in a way with certain people that don't have the ability to react on the fly, because there are some really good people out there, and I have work matches where we had no idea what was going to happen. We're just going to go out there and we're just going to see what happens, and it's been magic. And then other people try to do the same thing, and it's just awful.
Well, I think improvisation is good because sometimes you may miss something, but you're able to pick up and just go with the flow.
And that's essentially what the guts of what professional wrestling is paying attention to the crowd, the people who paid money to see you, who want to see something happen, and giving them something in return. So many people can come up with an idea for a match and they can have all of these things that they would like to do, but if the crowd's not responding to it, then you're really taking away from the people who paid money to come see you. You want to be able to give them something.
I've often said many times on this show that crowds are the lifeblood of professional wrestling because they're the ones that are giving the wrestlers, the referee, everybody the reactions. So
Absolutely.
you have to listen to what the fans want, be able to kind of follow along what they're saying, what they're wanting, and you have to kind of give into that a little bit. You have to really find that medium where you're like, okay, we're telling the story, but we also know that the fans want to see this happen. We kind of have to figure out how are we going to give the fans at the end of the day their money's worth.
Precisely. And I've been in venues where the house was ridiculously small. I'm talking maybe 7 people paid to be in there. And yet the people that I was working with have enough knowledge and enough respect and responsibility to the fans to give those 7 people everything that they came in to pay for. Whereas most people would just be like, whatever, we'll just go out there and do whatever we want to do just for fun. It's just, I think it's part of the job.
What would you say?
As a chef, I know flavor doesn't begin in the kitchen. It begins on the land. And West Home's nature-led Australian Wagyu is a story written in the landscape of Northern Australia. Cooking is storytelling, and West Home Wagyu carries a story of Northern Australia itself. Raw, powerful, and deeply authentic. It's a testament to the passion and care raised in the rhythm of Northern Australia. I'm Chef Maylin from 88 Club in Los Angeles, and I invite you to visit westhome.com/Maylin to learn more and taste a story only West Home nature-led Australian Wagyu can tell. That's WESTHOME.com/MEILIN.
What is the most rewarding part about being a referee?
Being able to be that narrator, being able to, you have a term. I posted up the other day after a response of an event that happened. I won't say the full details, but anybody who's listening to this that's smart on what's happened recently will understand what I'm talking about. But our responsibility, anybody that steps foot inside that ring or around that ring that's part of the show that is happening, we are trusting every single person there with our lives. We are asking each one of them to give us everything that they've got, and in return, we're going to give everything that we've got to make sure that all of us drive home that night and that we're safe and that we're healthy as best as we possibly can. And being able to be a referee, that doubles up, because now I'm responsible for everybody there. And I'm communicating with them, and I'm making sure, I'm trained in first aid, CPR, concussion training, because I want to be able to make sure that I can take care of them the best that I can. And I absolutely love that aspect of being a referee.
And you're trying to trust other people with their bodies. You're trying
Correct.
to trust yourself. You're trying to trust other people. And it really is like a dance in a sense, because you're working with the other person, leading and then following and trying to make sure that everybody gets to be in a situation where everybody's safe. So at the end of the day, you got to really work to make that goal happen.
Correct. Because as many people want to say it's fake, it's still real life that we're dealing with. And accidents can happen, and we put our bodies on the line every single time we walk through that curtain.
Let's talk about the NWA. What led you to join the organization, and who approached you about coming over there?
So many, many moons ago, I think this was back in 2019, I think it was. Maureen Tracy was working with NWA at the time. And I had, when Power was released, I knew that she was working with them, and I had sent her a message. I was like, hey, where do I need to send my resume? Where do I need to send my videos? Basically, how do I get an opportunity, and who do I need to talk to? And, she responded with, we're pretty much all set, but, if you want to, go ahead and send me your stuff. And if there's an opportunity, I'll definitely let you know. And number one, like I've told you before, I remember the first time ever watching wrestling was an NWA ring. So there was that connection. It was like, man, if I can even get this opportunity, that would be huge. Come full circle, And I want to say it was in November of 2019. I got the message, hey, could you be here? I think it was 2 weeks down in Atlanta. We actually want to have you come in. Because for those who don't know, I'm a sports massage therapist. I've been doing sports massage therapy for 23 years. She said, we want to bring you down and do some massage therapy work. But while you're down here, we'll give you at least a tryout match just to get you a look. And so I get down there. I set up my massage chair. I'm working on a couple of guys. And she comes up to me. She goes, you got your gear, right? I'm like, yeah, you told me to bring my gear. I'll be ready for tomorrow. She said, no. We're going to give you a match tonight on the pay-per-view. The live pay-per-view. I was like, oh, fantastic. So a company I've never worked with before, wrestlers I've never worked with before. And I'm kind of just being thrown in within, I think we had maybe 3 hours before showtime started. So yeah, it was an absolute rush. And I got, I had so many people there giving me good feedback right off the cuff, right off the rip. And it was a fantastic opportunity. And I'm so honored to have had that opportunity to take me as far as it's taken me so far.
Right now, what would you say have been some of your favorite matches to be a part of?
NWA specific, or just kind of in general?
In general.
Oh, man. We'll have to rewind back. I always talk about this one because I think this one is great. There used to be a company called PWX based out of Charlotte. They're no longer around, but there was this really cool match with Sir Penico and Sir Jay Rios. I don't know. He goes by several different names now, but they had this like blood feud, and it was a no holds barred match at a bar. It was just, there was so much emotion in that match that I remember. And this was actually one of the first matches that they asked me to contribute ideas about what I could do to help kind of layer in aspects of the story. And I remember walking to the back with the opponent who lost, and I just started crying. Like, I'm walking down the aisle and I'm just crying, and I don't know why I'm crying at that moment until I get back in the locker room and I realize that there was just so much emotion that was in that match. And that's what storytelling is about. So that's usually one that I always talk about, like as far as being primo, man, I've had some pretty awesome ones. Pretty much, I could tell you any of the big ones that I did with Camille while she was around with NWA. It's always an honor to work with her. I started with her on the Indies, and so to be able to transfer over to NWA and then like work with her there was really, really cool. I remember having an awesome match with JTG and Fred Rosser on When Shadows Fall pay-per-view. Just, again, super technical match that had a lot of emotion and a lot of reaction. So those are just some right off the cuff that I'm thinking about.
When you're in the ring with people that have been around for so long, you go in your mind, yeah, I'm making it here.
It's actually like, I think about that all the time because, I never want to be a mark. I never want to be like, oh, I'm in the ring with this person. So I look at it more of like, I'm now getting the opportunity to learn everything that I can from them during that small period of time. And that's one of the reasons that I really enjoy getting to work with some of the bigger names, is not so much because they're a name or maybe they'll give me popularity because people will see me working with them, as much as I want to learn different styles and I want to learn mindsets of what they have to offer. So that way I just have this giant tool bag that I can pull from. And if I have a match of this style where I've learned from them, now I can apply those type of things and I can just build that up over time.
What would you say are some of your favorite wrestling styles, both to referee and as a fan?
So as a fan, I just absolutely love technical wrestling. Like, I don't want it to be overdone, but I really like it when it kind of folds in some of that old folk style wrestling, like mat wrestling and technical moves and working off of one another, because that also shows you how well people are trained to react instantaneously. Like lately, I've been watching a lot of Mustafa Ali's training. And if you just watch his training, it is so smooth and it's just there. It's like second nature,
It's fluid.
It is. It's just beautiful to watch. As far as refereeing, I mean, I absolutely love refereeing pretty much any style of match that I get my hands on. Not the biggest fan of deathmatch style stuff. To all the people that like that, nothing wrong with that. However, that being said, I really do like no holds barred, falls count anywhere, street fight style stuff, because there are no rules. And so as a referee, if I'm challenged to not enforce rules, what do I have to offer? And that's where it shifts back into that storytelling. And I can react in certain ways to help bring the drama to what's happening and help the crowd react when they need to react in certain ways that they need to react.
Yeah, because you want to create an environment where they're going to keep coming back. And that's, I think, very important, is you have people that are excited for the show. They love what's going on. And then they come back the next time they're in town.
That's the hope every single time.
Well, let's switch gears and talk about some of the stuff you've been able to do outside of wrestling. I know you're very passionate about giving back to your community. What kinds of things have you been involved with over the years as far as making a difference is concerned?
I always try to give back, particularly in wrestling. My idea has always been to leave professional wrestling just a little bit better than when I got into it. So I've always been a huge advocate for, I created a Facebook group called The Reference, specially designed for referees, that we help build each other up as far as education, where we can give each other things that we learned, or we can share something that happened and we can be like, hey guys, what are your thoughts on this? And like, let's build together type of a deal. And it's also given referees the opportunity to to get positions with different promotions that maybe they wouldn't have had positions before. Outside of wrestling, I've always loved being able to give back to the community. And recently, my wife and I have, whenever we can, just gathered supplies and made sure that any of the homeless in our direct community, we don't go through a foundation, we don't go through a church, we don't go through anything. We just put all the stuff in the back of her truck and we drive around. And if we see somebody that's in need, we'll try to bring them a hot meal. We have a whole truck full of supplies, Mylar blankets, coats, hoodies, water bottles, soaps, anything that we can get our hands on that we can provide to them, just so that they have a little bit more integrity and a little bit more of a joyful lifestyle with all the crap that they're going through. That's really what we try to do. And we try to do that at least once a month, even if it's amazing. Just two or three people at a time, and we always carry $5 bills in our wallet. So if anybody's on the corner, we can always at least give them $5.
Yeah, it's really fascinating that you're able to go out there and really put a smile on their faces when they're struggling and they're going through a hard time in their life, but you're able to make that difference and make that connection and really like give some light to at the end of the day, because they're you don't know what somebody's going through. They could be going through the worst time period in their life, but they're able to have some hope that things will turn around, some good fortune.
Absolutely. And, we don't have it made by any means. We're not close to being financially well off, but I'll always have something to give, always, without a doubt. And I think we all have that availability to do that for somebody.
Was there a particular time that you were able to go out there and like an event or something that was like really heartwarming for you while you were helping the homeless?
There's just been more particular individual times. It was never really an event, but there's times where we've gone to people and, like I said, even just pulling up on the side of the road, they're on the corner with their sign or whatever, and you just hand them a $5 bill because they're used to being, given $1 bills or whatever. And yes, they're going to be thankful for anything, but just the look in their eyes of like, seriously, like that, that much. And that just helps me recognize too, that I can't take anything for granted that I have, because as minimal as it may seem, or like, I didn't get this, but I still have this. You always have something to be grateful for. And when you encounter people like that, it's a stark reminder that we can be grateful for the most minute amount of stuff that we have. And by doing that, you have a greater appreciation for the things that you may get in the future.
I like how you put that too. You always want to count your blessings.
Without a doubt, yes.
What is it about giving back to the community that gives you the most joy?
I think it's just being a human being. I think it's part of who we are meant to be, that it's our responsibility. So you're fulfilling that innate ability that you have inside yourself to be good to another person, no matter what their struggle might be.
No doubt about that. Well, before we wrap things up here, future goals, what do you hope to achieve in the wrestling business going
All
forward?
Of it. No, I just turned 44, and I told my wife by the time I turned 45, if I haven't hit a level where I'm really making enough money from professional wrestling to at least pay for the mortgage of my home, then I might step away from it as being so serious and maybe shift gears into more of a training or a coaching ability, because I always love helping others out, because I know I won't ever be the best. But if I can help somebody else become better at what they can do so that maybe they can become the best, because I got into the game very late. I understand that, there are so many people that get into wrestling when they're 15 years old, and I started when I was 32. So I had a very short window in which I could make a lot of things happen. And I would love to travel more to experience wrestling in different cultures and how the crowds work and how the roster works in different cultures. Mainly England, Japan. I would love to be able to go back to Japan and be a part of Japanese culture, from from a performer versus from being a resident for the short period of time that I was there. And really just, if I'm going to train and if I'm going to give back, I would like to have as much under my belt as I possibly can to say, yeah, I've been to this country. I know how they work there. I've been with this promotion. I know how that they work there. So I'm going to give you all the opportunities to learn about those, so that way you can take that on and become the best versions of yourselves as well.
Definitely helps you definitely helps to be a little more well-rounded as a talent, as a performer, as a personality, when you're able to go and have those different experiences going around the world and seeing different places.
It truly is.
Have you also done any of the conventions? I feel like I've seen you work a couple of WrestleCades.
Yes, I have, with the exception of, I think, 2 or 3, I have been doing WrestleCades since, I want to say it was 2015 is when I did 2016 I did my first one. So I've been lucky enough to work with Tracy and Brian there and AML Wrestling, and they brought me in and they welcomed me into their family. And again, it's that aspect of just trying to give back as much as I possibly can to the community in that area and everything that they do. You know, they're massive on charity and wanting to give back where they can. And if I can just be a small part of that, I'm very thankful to be a part of that.
I've been to WrestleCade the last 3 years, and this last one that I was at, got to go to the show, and I had the most fun attending, because you see all these people come out, and the fans are very passionate. They love the entertainment and the action and everything. It's just like one of those times where you're like, yeah, I'm very proud of being a wrestling fan, and to be a part of that and celebrate that with others, best feeling in the world.
It is. It's such a great time. And if anybody watching this or hearing this has never been to WrestleCade, put it on your calendar for this year, because it's something that you'll never forget.
Definitely plan on going back for sure.
Fantastic.
Well, Jarrod, I want to say thank you so much for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about you on social media? If you have anything you want to plug, feel free.
Oh, man. So you can catch me every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on Roku with NWA. We've got NWA Power every single week. And on Wrestling Central on Roku, you can catch all the old stuff. Like the whole entire archive of the Lightning One era is on Roku. You can watch it. You can enjoy it. Let's see. When it comes to social media on Instagram and TikTok, it's just Jarrod.Fritz. And on Facebook on Facebook, it's Jarrod Fritz LMT. And on Twitter, I'm always going to call it Twitter. It's always Twitter. It's JFritzRefFit, at symbol JFritzRefFit. Check me out there. If anybody ever has any questions or wants to reach out, they can reach out anytime.
Thanks again, Jarrod, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
All right, take care.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.